Welcome all to another episode of your favorite podcast. Targo, how the hell are you this fine morning?
Doing all right, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, nursing a little hangover, so I'm
Ooh, a little
hoping,
too many brews, huh?
I'm hoping a little hair of the dog will help.
That sometimes does, or it could make it worse. You never know.
We'll find out by the end of the episode, won't we? All right, buddy, what are you drinking today?
Drinking a one I've had before, Kugel's Summer Shandy. This is one of
Nice.
my go-tos when the weather's nice and warm.
I know. Also, happy first day of summer, man.
Is it the first day of summer?
Yeah. So
Didn't even know
good
that.
choice. Good choice. Today I'm drinking Colossal Claude by Rogue Brewing. It's an Imperial IPA. Never had it before, and there's a lot of it, so this will be fun.
Hopefully you like it then.
It's definitely an IPA. Yeah, a little fruitier, but yeah, 8.2%.
Ooh, you might be feeling it here.
I definitely think I will be. So, with that, those are our brews. Let's get to some banter. Welcome to Brews and Banter. Targo, today we're going to look forward to next season, mostly because, well, the fixture list got released, first off. And then we're going to go over some teams that were very disappointing last season, really diving deep into who could leave, who should they bring in, what to expect for next season, etc., etc., etc.
Should be fun.
Those disappointments are Chelsea, Spurs, and Liverpool. I would say Chelsea and Spurs definitely more disappointing, but we'll dive into that later. First, make sure to check out our Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Redbubble. Really getting some action on those videos there, buddy.
Yeah, we are on our Facebook especially.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys are a part of that.
Yep. Next, fixtures, buddy.
Fixtures.
We know
Premier
all the
League
fixtures for next season, including the inaugural curtain raiser. First trophy of the season, FA Community Shield, will be held on August 6th between champions Manchester City and runners-up Arsenal. Honestly, a little shocked that Arsenal got into this one.
Well, I mean, yeah, Man City won both the league and the FA Cup.
But I would have thought the Carabao Cup winners would have made it.
Oh, give it to Man United? I think they usually give it to second place then in the league. At least that's what they do when you play on FIFA.
Yeah, that's true. But I also win every cup in FIFA, so also because I don't play it on a hard difficulty. Anyways, so Premier League opening weekend, it spans from the 11th to the 14th. I was very surprised. Usually they play every game on the same day for opening day, but on the 11th, the curtain raiser, we got Vincent Kompany and newly promoted Burnley against the champions Manchester City to kick off the season. Bournemouth and West Ham on the 12th. Arsenal play Nottingham Forest. Brighton play newly promoted Luton Town. Everton play Fulham. Sheffield United play Crystal Palace. Newcastle play Aston Villa, which should be a tasty affair.
Brentford. Anything to go off the form of the end of the season.
Both teams, yeah. Newcastle looking for some sweet revenge against Aston Villa since they kicked their butts. What was it?
They did.
Brentford at home against Tottenham Hotspur. And two of the teams we're going to talk about today. Chelsea playing Liverpool. Hopefully it's more entertaining than the games they played last season.
Oh, hopefully, man.
The final game on the 14th, we got Manchester United against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Wow, that was a mouthful. Any of these you're looking forward to especially?
Chelsea and Liverpool, man. Hopefully, I think it will be better, opening game, so definitely will be one on the watch list for sure.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I think I'm looking forward to Newcastle and Aston Villa more than I'm looking forward to Chelsea and Liverpool.
Yeah, if anything, like I said, if anything from the end of the season forms something to go off of.
Yeah. Well, and all the players they're both linked with. Could see loads of new signings. Aston Villa going after players that arguably they have no right going after. So, should be fun to watch. And also Brentford and Tottenham. I think that one will be a good one, especially because, well, Brentford's at home.
That one could be. You're not wrong. I mean, the way they played last year at home, their opening game, wasn't it? Or second game, they beat Man United at home.
Yeah, and what was it, 2 years ago? Opening game, beat Arsenal.
They beat Arsenal at home. Yep.
So we'll see. Should be a tasty affair. So with that, let's get into the big disappointments from last season. Let's start off with the Blues from London and Chelsea.
The biggest disappointment.
The biggest disappointment. Because we're probably going to spend the most time on them because, well, how bad they were. Also, all the players they're linked to and all the players that should be shipped out. So they finished 12th last season. Targo, what grade would you give them?
An F, man. They failed. That was a failure of a season for Chelsea. 12th place, no European football after spending 500 million, 600 million, whatever it was. That's a colossal failure, I would say.
Colossal failure. I'm going to give them an F+. The plus only being because they signed a bunch of really exciting young stars, I would say.
I would say they signed potentially some exciting young stars. Yes.
So if those players can find their feet, then they should be much better next season. But I still think it'll take 2 or 3 years for them to get back to the heights they expect themselves to be at. As far as the needs that they have for next season, I mean, they're going to ship out a dozen players probably.
They're going to ship out quite a few, yeah.
Yeah. I personally think, well, we all know they need a striker.
Yes, they do.
Need another center mid. I also think they probably could use a center back.
I don't think they necessarily need one.
They don't need one, but they could use one. I mean, they got 2 aging center backs. I mean, Thiago Silva's on the better end of almost 40.
They got a couple good ones, though, too, in Fofana and Badiashile, younger guys.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. And then news that Mauricio Pochettino wants to bring in a new goalie.
I don't think they do. I don't think they should.
I guess they need a goalie.
That would be my least priority for them.
Yeah, I agree. But we'll see how much they spend. Already coming in this summer, we got Christopher Nkunku and Malo Gusto, who's coming back from his loan at Lyon.
That's who they bought in January and then loaned him back to Lyon for the rest of the season, correct?
Yeah. Yes. He's right back. Young, exciting player. And then new coach, Mauricio Pochettino, for next season. Excited to see what he can do to a Chelsea squad that looks like they're not interested and don't want to be there. Speaking of don't want to be there, players that should leave or have left, N'Golo Kante signed for, I believe, Al Ittihad, joining Karim Benzema. Mateo Kovacic apparently is going to Manchester City.
Not officially yet, I don't think.
Not officially, but according to Fabrizio Romano, it's close. Christian Pulisic, Mason Mount, Dennis Zakaria goes back to Juventus. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, João Felix should go back to Atletico. Romelu Lukaku is coming back. Is he not? I don't know.
We'll
Ethan
see.
Apadu, Callum Hudson-Odoi, who I forgot even played there. Malangsar, and leaving on a free Bakayoko. I'm not even going to try his first name.
Timiyu Bakayoko?
Sure. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, former Monaco player, been at loan everywhere.
Yeah, and his contract expires on the 30th. So, all right, lots to talk about, Targo. I guess who should they sign? Who would be a great fit? What to expect for next season? Thoughts?
Well, I'll just start kind of with their squad, man. As far as their goalie position goes, I think they're okay. Like I said, that'd probably be my least priority if I were Chelsea, because you do have solid shot stoppers and Edouard Mendy and Kepa. I just don't know how Edouard Mendy fell off that quick, because even at the World Cup, he looked good, I thought, for Senegal.
I know he struggled with injury a lot last season, and he only played in like 10 games. So
I think he can get back to his best. I also think Kepa's not terrible. He is prone to a mistake, but he also came up with the save of the year last season. So you got to give him some credit. At defense, they just brought back Malo Gusto for right back. And of course, they have Reece James there, Cesar Azpilicueta. As far as players that could probably leave, maybe you're looking at Trevor Chalobah. Koulibaly, I know, has been linked to Inter Milan. So I don't know if they're looking to get some money from him. But like I said, I think they got decent young players in Wesley Fofana, Benoit Badiashile. I think you could probably sell Cucurella.
I agree.
He hasn't been the best for him.
Very disappointing.
Because that left back, then you think they still got Ben Chilwell and that other youngster that's been playing there. What's his name? Lewis Hall.
That one.
I do think you're right as far as midfielders, though, because it looks like they're shipping a lot of them out. Conte's leaving. It looks like Kovacic is leaving. I mean, that leaves who? Enzo Fernandez, Hakeem Ziyech,
Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Yeah.
Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and Conor Gallagher.
Yeah, that's really it, though.
Because Mason Mount looking like he's leaving. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think they could use a midfielder, especially if they're going to sell those guys.
I mean, they do have Chukwuemeka.
Yeah. I think they should keep him. Youngster, he's 19, so...
Yeah, looks promising.
I think they should keep...
Mari Hutchinson last year. But a lot of these guys they're not ready to make that jump yet.
No. I think Conor Gallagher, Enzo Fernandez, Chukwuemeka's still young. I think he needs more time. I think they're probably looking to get rid of Ruben Loftus-Cheek, see what they can get for him. Mm-hmm. I think he's a good player. He's very athletic, strong player.
Yeah.
But I think he might leave. So, as far as midfielders they could bring in, maybe a James Maddison. I know they're looking at Declan Rice. They're looking at that Portuguese midfielder from Sporting, Manuel Ugarte.
Yeah.
Young Spanish midfielder, Gabri Vega from Celta Vigo. So there's some options, I guess, in that midfield. But obviously their main concern is going to be striker. And they got loads of wingers. Raheem Sterling, Maduake, I think are going to be good. Mm-hmm. Whether they keep, I mentioned Hakeem Ziyech, Christian Pulisic, or even Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz has been linked with a couple clubs here lately as well.
Yeah, Bayern Munich, Arsenal, Real Madrid.
I think they want too much for him, though. 75 million.
Yeah, I would be surprised if they got 50 for him.
That's what I was thinking. I wouldn't pay more than 50. I was thinking more like 40.
Yeah, I mean, they got tons of wingers. They really only have, 3 strikers?
And one of them was injured for most last season, which is unfortunate for him, Armando Broja.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because, he was looking promising there for a minute. They're linked. Apparently, they're in advanced talks with Moises Caicedo after, Arsenal's got all their eggs in the Declan Rice basket. I would love to see them go for a Nicolo Barella or Brias Mendes, man.
Brias Mendes, yeah, that could be a good option. Or Zubimendi from Sociedad.
Yeah, any of those. You got Enzo in there. They probably need more of a holding midfielder and maybe more of an attacking midfielder. But yeah, it all depends on what Poch wants to do as far as, formation goes and the style he wants to play. I think that's probably why he's looking for a new goalie, is he wants one that's better with his feet.
Well, Kepa's not terrible with his feet.
No, but it doesn't look natural to him as the goalie that they're linked to in Onana, who looked fantastic in the Champions League final.
How much do you think Onana would cost?
Probably 30 mil.
That's it?
Yeah. Inter did get him on a free, so.
Again, going back, Chelsea have to sell players before they can really sign anyone. Yeah,
financial fair play is another issue that they got to worry about with how much they spent. I don't know what they do because they're wanting way too much for these players that teams want, and no one's wanting to buy them because they want so much money. They're saying 100 mil for Mason Mount. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think Man United had a bid rejected here of
70 mil.
Was it 70?
Yeah. I mean, Caicedo's going to cost them 80 mil.
No, it was. They made an opening bid of 40 mil
40. Okay.
that they
Well,
rejected.
they're probably going to end up having to spend 70 if they really want him, which makes no sense since he's got what,
A
1
year.
year and an option for another left. So I don't know. Midfield. How about striker? I mean, we all know they need one. Do they keep Lukaku? Do they get rid of him?
I think they should kind of give him a chance. If I'm being honest with you, I'm curious to see how he would do under Mauricio Pochettino.
Yeah, I mean, you think back to when they brought him back the first time before he went back on loan to Inter, and man, he was tearing up teams for the beginning there.
And I mean, they haven't really, apart from Thomas Tuchel, they haven't really had he hasn't really had a good coach there at Chelsea. You think Frank Lampard has not been good? Graham Potter, I mean,
no.
So I'm curious to see what could happen with Pochettino and Lukaku.
Yeah.
And honestly, if they have, I mean, they're trying to get rid of him, but no one's coming for him. Inter Milan are wanting another loan deal, but Chelsea aren't interested in loans. They need to sell players.
Yeah, I mean, the only, I guess, teams plural that want to sign him is, I mean, I know he just made a trip over to Saudi Arabia. They're offering him 50 mil for his contract, which would be crazy. But do you think a player that's essentially still in his prime would go there?
If he wants to play, but I think he should try to fight for it at Chelsea for a season.
I agree. Or at least stay in Europe.
I mean, at least he gives them something different at Chelsea.
Yeah, 100%. And with the wingers they have, that style of, hold up center forward would be fantastic for them. So they just need another midfielder to be creative enough for him to play off of. So, all right. So let's say they get rid of Lukaku. If you're Chelsea, who do you go for?
Obviously, Victor Osimhen. I think he's already come out and said he's not going to leave Napoli, though.
Yeah, and for Chelsea, that's going to cost them at least 150 mil for him.
Yeah, so maybe a Dusan Vlahovic, maybe Ivan Toney. Try to get him when he can play in January. But there's not a whole lot of, I would say, options out there for class strikers.
World class options that are ready to just, springboard Chelsea to the top of the table.
Maybe a Kolo Muani, but I mean, he would cost them
100 mil.
80 to 100.
Yeah. I mean, Rasmus Højlund from Atalanta would be a good option. I mean, he's 21. He reminds me of a more athletic Dusan Vlahovic, but again, he's going to
young and unproven.
Yeah, and he's going to cost probably around 80 mil because he got 5 years left on his contract. And then there's one. I mean, I know we both had some fun doing some research for this. There's one guy in Spain that has a release clause that shocked me, and that's Nicolas Jackson from Villarreal. 21 years old, not very proven, but his release clause is nuts. How much do you think his release clause is?
Probably 35.
Okay. Because that's exactly what it is. Yeah. Crazy low for a guy who's 21. And, I mean, he lit up La Liga last season for Villarreal. So, that's a great financially sound option for them. Even if he's a backup. So
okay. Well, you also mentioned they might need a center back. So who would you look for in that?
I would say you probably want someone who can play multiple positions. So maybe a left-sided center back. Pau Torres probably comes to mind.
From Villarreal, yep.
Villarreal, yeah. I know he's more right-sided, but would give them a good option if they're going to play 3 at the back with wingbacks as Jurriën Timber. He can play right back. He can play center back. So he gives you options, especially if Reece James is going to, continue his injury problems. And if Malo Gusto doesn't pan out immediately like they want him to, it's a good option. Those are probably the two top ones for me. I would have said go for Milan Skriniar, but he already signed for PSG. So
Yeah, I mean, there's some good defenders out there off the top of my head. Look at Bayer Leverkusen, Jonathan Tah, Edmund Tapsoba, couple options. Maybe look over at Man City. Aymeric Laporte isn't the happiest over there, not getting much playing time.
yeah, and looks like they're trying to bring in another center back. So
It
I would
does.
assume he's going out.
I know Man City, they're looking at Josko Kvardiol, but maybe Chelsea take a look at him. I know he would cost a lot, probably 100 mil.
Yeah.
That's what it's looking like.
You're going to have to break the most expensive transfer for a defender to get him.
And, maybe if you want to find someone a little bit younger, look at Sporting. Juan Carlos Ignacio.
Yeah.
Be a good option.
He
tore it up for Sporting.
Yeah. So, I mean, lots of good options at center back. Striker is a lot harder to find, but there's lots of good.
A lot harder and a lot more expensive.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. As far as goalie, I mean, the only one I could think of is Onana at Inter. That would fit the system that Poch likes to play. Other than that, you keep what you have if you can't get him.
I think that they should look elsewhere. I think Kepa can do a good enough job, and if Mendy can get back to his best, he's been fantastic in the past.
Yeah, he has, and I mean, I would say Mendy's probably better with his feet than Kepa is. So I don't see why they don't just start him or let him battle it out in preseason and
get some confidence
better. And
I think is what he needs.
Yeah, I mean Kepa too, I think, but I mean they got a strong foundation there at Chelsea. They just need some direction and 2 or 3 signings and ship out a bunch of players. And I mean, with their opening schedule, they're gonna look good next season if they can do that. Speaking of opening schedule, they played Liverpool at home. Then they traveled to West Ham, played Luton Town at home, Nottingham Forest at home, and then to go to Bournemouth. So, I mean, out of those 5 games, are you thinking 12, 13 points?
At least 12, you'd think.
Yeah. I mean, that would keep them close to the top of the table opening.
I mean, obviously, Liverpool's tough. West Ham.
Yeah, that'll be tough.
Maybe Forest. We'll see what Forest do. And they buy another million players, or what happens there. It'll be the battle of the biggest squads.
Right. We're going to play 2 games on 2 pitches with 2 teams each.
We have the numbers.
We play best of 2 games. It's aggregate score. See who wins. They could probably field 2 teams and the subs. Both teams. So, although I would say the backups, I'd probably give it to Nottingham Forest. So, all right. What should Chelsea fans expect for next season?
I don't think they should expect challenging for the title, but I mean, if they could get a Champions League or Europa League spot, I think that's a success compared to what they did, previous season, finishing 12th.
Yeah.
Maybe try to go for a deep run in the FA Cup.
Okay. Yeah, I think as far as European qualification, I don't know if they're going to be good enough.
There's a lot of good teams, man.
Season. Yeah. It's going to be tough battle for any European spot next season. I think, honestly, just getting into Europe next season should be their priority. And I mean, even in getting into the Conference League, I think would be a win for them. I mean, Chelsea fans will be happy with me saying that, but with the quality of the teams that finished above them, I mean, they probably could finish above Fulham this season, maybe a Brentford, maybe Brighton, depending on who they sign. But I don't see them finishing above. I guess they could finish above Tottenham, but I don't see them finishing in the top 6 or 7.
Above Liverpool or United or Newcastle or Arsenal.
Even Aston Villa.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can do that either. The way that.
They're going to be a fun team to watch, I think. Villa, see how they do.
Oh, yeah. See who they can bring in.
See what Emery can do beginning of the season with a whole season ahead of them.
Yes. And if it's anything like the second half of last season, man, they're going to be pushing for a Champions League spot. Should be exciting. All right. Any final thoughts on Chelsea?
just they got a bunch of players to sell, and I think, yeah, whether I'm curious to see where all these players go for one, and for how much.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if they sell all of them, even if it's for what the market value is for each player, they're going to have quite the transfer kitty. So they'll be able to buy quite a few players. Well, a couple of really good quality players. So
I'm specifically interested in like a Hakeem Ziyech or Christian Pulisic to see where they go.
yeah, yeah. Especially us Americans love to see him play regularly, the way he was playing at Dortmund.
Yeah, or even just the way he played here the other day against Mexico.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, tearing him up. Okay, on to the perennial disappointments. Pretty much every season, Tottenham Hotspur finished 8th, yet again no trophy after essentially being called the winners of the summer transfer window last season. Very, very, very disappointing. And Antonio Conte said it best. It's they're comfortable where they're at, and no one really wants to win as badly as they should.
Well, I don't think they're comfortable where they're at now in 8th place with 0 European football to play.
Yeah. New coach who came off winning the treble for Celtic.
Yep.
So
Postecoglou.
yeah. So grade for last season. I mean, they went through 3 coaches last season?
I guess if you Antonio Conte and then was it Stellini or something?
Yeah, and then Ryan Mason. So yeah, grade for last season.
Same as Chelsea's an F, man. It was a failure of a season. 0 European football, 0 cups. They got knocked out by who was it? Was it Southampton or something in the
No, Sheffield United.
Sheffield. That's even worse. Southampton knocked out Man City. That's right.
Well, at least one of those teams is still in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So I give them that.
But I mean, yeah, disappointing cup runs, disappointing season. I mean, 8th place, man. They're focusing on the Premier League.
Yeah, they have to. Probably good that they can kind of press the reset button with no European football, but that's also less games. So if Chelsea is an F for me, then I'm going D plus for Tottenham because they finished above Chelsea. They weren't as bad as Chelsea, with both teams having the same expectations last season. So,
but I guess what's the difference between Tottenham in 8th and Chelsea in 12th? There's no difference.
4 spots
as far as what they're playing.
Yeah.
Do you want to look at the way they played? Was it better than Chelsea's? Slightly.
Yeah, at times. At times, but that's
the inconsistency was there, especially away from home.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Chelsea were better defensively. Tottenham were better going forward. It looks like they're going to keep Harry Kane, which would be good for signings, I guess. But yeah, either way, not good. Very disappointing last season. Again, no trophies. I don't think they stand a chance of winning one next year as well. As far as what they need, short of a full new squad,
they need a lot of positions. I would say,
do.
Yeah.
Goalie,
they could use a goalie.
Fraser Forster can't last a full season as a top quality goalie, and Hugo Lloris is done. I mean, he's done at Tottenham, I think. Center back, their center backs were very disappointing last season. Left back, probably. They definitely need an attacking midfielder. And maybe another right winger. I know that Kulusevski just became a permanent signing for them the other day. Pedro Porro also made permanent from their loan deals. As far as players that could leave, you got Hugo Lloris. Davinson Sanchez should probably leave. Clement Lenglet is going back to Barcelona. Lucas Moura left. End of his contract. Arnaut Danjuma.
I think
does he
I heard
stay?
They made them his permanent with Danjuma.
Okay. Tunge Dombele, who won a trophy and is bringing a Scudetto back to Tottenham. Giovanni Lo Celso, Harry Winks, Brian Hill, and potentially Harry Kane. So A lot of players out on loan for Tottenham that seemingly don't have a future there, but we'll see. Does Postecoglou keep them? Does he
I think
want?
Ndombele is a permanent at Napoli. I don't think he's
Is it
at.
now?
Yeah,
Well, he was on loan, so I don't know. Well, either way, players that have left, then add him to that. But
right.
lots of players out on loan. Lots of people need to leave. Lots of players need to be signed for them. I mean, eighth place, a mess of a club. Are they even attractive anymore?
And so that's what I was going to get at. Why it's a failure, I think, for both Tottenham and Chelsea is they have no lure of European football for signings. That's going to hurt them.
Yeah.
At least Chelsea, I think, have the budget where they can pay their players a little bit more.
I was just gonna say, yeah, at least they can offer massive wages, but Daniel Levy's not gonna do that.
Nope.
Let alone spend money.
And so that's why it was hard to find, I think, players that they could go for, like realistically.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the ones I was looking at were all free transfers. So shall we get into it?
Let's get into it. We'll start with goalie, man. I mean, obviously, they need a new goalie. Hugo Lloris is 36, on his way out. Fraser Forster's a year behind him and just doesn't look that great.
Yeah.
So what kind of goalkeeper do you think they could bring in?
I don't know. I really don't. Do you try to get Keylor Navas for cheap? Maybe. But even him, he's getting up there in age. I was going to say David Raya, but he came out and said he wants to challenge for titles and win trophies and play in Europe. And none of those things are going to happen at Tottenham. David Raya would have been the perfect player.
It would have been. He would have been.
He just essentially ruled himself out of a transfer. So
he would have been a fantastic pickup. He's only 27.
Yeah.
Plays for Brentford.
Maybe go for a Jordan Pickford, maybe?
That's who I had on my list. Yeah, Jordan Pickford, maybe a Dominik Livakovic.
Yeah, that would be a nice, inexpensive goalie.
Dean Henderson.
Yeah, and you probably get him on a loan with an option to buy.
And so those are a little bit like realistic options. Like I don't want to throw Onana out there. You know, Mike Maignan from AC Milan.
Magic Mike.
I don't think they'd want to go there.
No, they'd rather stay and play European football.
I think Livakovic, you know, he's playing, was it in Croatia?
Yeah, I think so.
He's 28, so I think he could be a good option. Still young for a goalkeeper. Get a good few years out of him still.
Let's see. Livakovic, yeah. Dinamo Zagreb.
So, I mean, lure of Premier League could be there for him.
Yeah. I mean, he'd be a great signing for them, especially if he can perform like he did in the World Cup. Okay, well, with that said, let's talk. I guess let's start from the back and go forward.
Sounds good. Center backs, man.
Center backs, yeah.
You're not wrong. I mean, Eric Dyer, he's not a good center back. Christian Romero is so okay. He is mistake prone. You're not rash challenge prone.
He reminds me of Snodgrass Mustafi.
Of course he does.
Yeah. Well, just the errors. Like, he can be a good defender at times, but he also can be terrible. And you're like, why and how did he make that decision? Davison Sanchez is even worse. So, like, okay.
Which he didn't used to be. I feel like he just got bad all of a sudden.
Yeah. Maybe it's just because he doesn't want to be there. Ben Davies is getting up there in age.
Yeah, I think he'll be their starting left back, though. So maybe they'll look for a replacement for him.
Yeah.
Or a backup to him.
So with
Emerson
that said,
Royale at right back, I guess. Pedro Porro, whoever you're going to play there.
Yeah, I mean, they got some depth at right back. So center
Tanganga
back
can play left back, I know.
Who would you go for if you're Tottenham at center back?
You know, I know they've been linked to Harry Maguire.
To keep Harry Kane happy?
Yeah. I don't dislike that move.
I don't either. Especially if he can find his form like he does for England. I think it'd be a fantastic signing, and United probably would ship him out for 20 mil.
I think he could be a good signing. Yeah. I think maybe honestly look at Roma, Roger Ibanez.
Yeah.
Younger defender, 24.
he might cost about 50 mil though, and I don't think Daniel Levy would spend that much.
It's a good option, or maybe go back to Man City. I am Eric Laporte.
Yeah.
I don't think he would go there though after playing at Man City.
No.
But
I think he would probably
it's
want to go
tough,
back.
man. Trying to think of a defender that wouldn't cost a whole lot. You think of maybe a Ben Mee at Brentford.
Yeah. You would have to pretty much scour the Premier League for anyone that finished below you to find one.
Ethan, Pinnock for Brentford.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look at maybe some of these Crystal Palace defenders, Mark Gee.
Yeah. I don't know. I
think what they desperately need is a creative midfielder.
Yes. But before we get to that, how about a left back?
Left back, all right. So they got Ben Davis and Tanganga. They could probably get rid of Tanganga, if that's how you pronounce his name. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
I think there's quite a few left backs they could go for.
Yeah.
First pick would be Purvis Estupiñán.
Yeah.
From Brighton.
From Brighton. I don't know if that's an attractive move for him, but because Brighton have European football.
My other first pick would have been DeMarco. Federico DeMarco from Inter Milan, man. He is a firecracker on that left side.
Yeah, he is.
That would be my wish list, I guess, would be would be him.
I was looking at maybe a Denzel Dumfries from Inter. I mean, he plays both sides, so that'd be a good fit. Or maybe an American by the name of Anthony Robinson. He's very exciting. Watching him out on the left side for Fulham, I think he would be a good fit there.
I think he could. You're not wrong.
Complement Pedro Porro on the other side very well, especially if Postecoglou wants to play with 3 at the back and more wing backs. Then they both would do fantastically. So yeah.
So I know a couple others I have is they want maybe just a backup to Ben Chilwell, maybe a Junior Firpo could get him on the cheap from Leeds, who just got relegated.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Other ones would be Tyrick Mitchell from Crystal Palace, or even Juan Miranda playing over in Spain for, I think it's Betis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be
younger player, 23.
Yeah.
Same with Tyrick Mitchell, so they maybe can learn from Chilwell.
Yeah.
Not Chilwell, Davis, but Davis.
Yeah. Anthony Robinson, I think he's 23 years old?
I think he's a little older than that. I think he's like 25 or 26. Anthony Robinson.
25.
Yeah.
You're right. Okay. So they need a lot of help in the back, but they need more help in the midfield. So let's get to that attacking midfielder. Who would they be able to even get at this point?
That's the tough part, man. Honestly, the first one that comes to my mind is James Maddison from Leicester.
Yeah, but he's got more attractive offers.
He does. Newcastle, I know, are looking at him.
Newcastle, Aston Villa apparently are looking at him too. Yeah, I don't. If Tottenham can get that signing, perfect, awesome. I would say probably a very successful summer if they can do that and keep Harry Kane and get a center back. I would have said Danny Ceballos, but he just signed a new contract for Real Madrid.
Did he? I know he was, looking at his contract was expiring, but they did sign him.
Yeah, they did the other day. Other than that, I don't know.
Otherwise, it's kind of more fantasy. I mean, you maybe go to RB Leipzig, look at Szoboszlai, Dani Olmo.
Yeah. If you sell Harry Kane, then yeah, you probably could. You probably could go and get one of those guys.
Maybe get more of a defensive midfielder and push Højbjerg up. Look at a Tyler Adams or Douglas Luiz.
Yeah, Tyler Adams would be a good one. I mean, they just signed, Yves Bissouma, who I would have thought would have done better.
I was going to say, let's look at their midfield. Bissouma. They
also got
Bentancur, Højbjerg.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's going to be Oliver Skip.
Yeah. I mean, those are going to be essentially all of their midfielders.
I know Bentancur was hurt quite a bit.
Yeah, I know Pape Sarr. He was playing a bit more.
He was.
He's in there. But yeah, I mean, they got a lot of attacking wingers, I guess, and forwards, but not a lot of midfielders. So they definitely need some depth in there and more of a creative player. So
Maybe even a James Ward-Prowse could be a good option.
that would be a great option. Again, what's the price? What is he going to go for?
I mean, he just got relegated with Southampton.
Yeah, but it's also their best player. So
I bet they could get him away for 40 or 50.
yeah. I mean, yes, I think 40 would be what they would ask for. But at the same time, it's like, are they going to be able to, are they going to want to spend that much money? I think
they're willing to spend probably 100 mil in this transfer window.
You think so? Well, then I guess that doesn't rule out a Sabot-Sloy or Danny Olmo.
I'm guessing they'll want to try to get 2 or 3 players with that 100 mils.
Yeah. So 30, 40 would probably be about what they're willing to spend on each one.
On a player, yeah.
Which, I mean, Harry Maguire just makes sense then, because you probably get him for 20, 25, 30 mil from Man United. So, yeah, I mean, as far as wingers go or striker, I mean, there's a guy out there that they could go for. He's on a free. No one's talking about it. Is Adama Traore.
I don't think he really brings anything to that Tottenham team. I mean, is he going to replace Dujan Kulusevski?
He'd at least offer some depth there, bring something different. It's a little more direct than Kulusevski.
Not terrible if it's on a free, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then they got Son on the other side.
Richarlison, I guess.
Richarlison through the middle, yeah.
It's just nobody up front for them excites me anymore.
No, you know who I potentially thought was that Victor Boniface.
Yeah.
Union Saint-Gilloise.
Which was what I was going to get into is, well, what if Harry Kane leaves?
Harry Kane leaves and they got to spend money.
Yeah. So if he leaves, okay, so you sell him for 100 mil. Let's say you're right, and Daniel Levy already gave Postecoglou 100 mil to work with. Now you got 200 mil. Who do you sign to replace him?
Koulibaly.
Besides maybe a Boniface.
Koulibaly.
That's a good one.
Or maybe a Jonathan David from Lille.
That one's a fantastic idea. You probably
Honestly,
get him for a lot cheaper.
Ivan Toney for the January?
Yeah, possibly. Call me crazy. Romelu Lukaku.
Would they pay his wages?
Probably not. But for Lukaku, I mean, that might be just as attractive as going back to Chelsea.
I don't know, man. I don't think he'd want to go to Tottenham.
Call me crazy. I think it would be a great signing for them, especially the style of football that they play going forward. Another one, his strike partner at Inter, Lautaro Martinez.
You think they'd spend that kind of cash on him?
If they're going to spend the kind of cash to get Kolo Muani, it's the same money.
How much do you think Lukaku costs?
From Chelsea?
Or not,
I think
not Lukaku. How much do you think Lautaro Martinez would cost?
I think 70 mil.
I think it'd be more than that. So you think Lautaro Martinez would be cheaper than Kolo Muani?
I mean, I don't think he should be, but I think Inter would sell him for less than what Frankfurt would sell Kolo Muani for.
I think that 100 mil you just got for Harry Kane would have to go right to Lautaro Martinez, if that's the route you want to go.
It'd be, I mean, like for like replacement, pretty much, as far as style of play goes.
I don't know. I don't like Lautaro Martinez as that lone striker.
I mean, you think of the way Harry Kane plays with, say, you put Richarlison and Heung-min Son on the wings there. Essentially, you're playing with 3 strikers.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly just don't think Lautaro Martinez' style of play is good for the Premier League.
I don't either, but we've seen crazier signings. So, especially, being Arsenal fans. Okay, so now that we've gone through all the transfers, first 5 fixtures for Tottenham, if they get any of these players, they go at Brentford. Then they get Man United at home, travel to Bournemouth and Burnley, and then play Sheffield United at home. I mean, it's a tough schedule.
A little bit.
Box, especially the first 2 games.
Yeah, I'm maybe 9 or 10 points.
I don't even know if I would go with that. You get a Burnley squad that probably thinks Tottenham is there for the taking. Sheffield United squad who beat them last year. I'm thinking maybe like 4 or 5 points out of their first 5 games.
You think so, huh?
I think they'll lose to Brentford. I think they'll lose to United. I'm thinking going to Burnley, maybe a draw, maybe a loss, and Sheffield United, I mean, okay, maybe 6. I think they'll beat Bournemouth. Maybe they'll beat Sheffield United at home. But man, that's a tough schedule out the blocks.
Oh no, it is for sure. Yeah, I think they could beat Bournemouth, Burnley, and Sheffield United.
I think they could.
Maybe get a draw from Brentford or Man United.
Okay. Do you have more faith in Tottenham Hotspur than I do? Speaking of which,
that might change. We'll see if when they sell Harry Kane and who they sign. But
their expectations for next season, should it be what it normally is and getting into the Champions League?
Yeah.
Or with the squad they have, is it the same as Chelsea, where they should be happy getting into Europe at all?
No, I mean, Daniel Levy is obviously going to want Champions League money, man.
Yeah, but I don't
think
the
expectation
realistic.
I think from him is that they are fighting for Champions League spots.
Yeah, it's just for me, I don't know if it's realistic this season. No matter who you sign, unless
that's not true. I mean, so obviously last season was a bit of disappointment. You had some players that didn't perform as well, especially looking at you, Son. I think if Son performs back to his, old standards,
that's big if.
I don't know. I mean, he's performed, I would say, pretty consistently, except for this last season.
Okay. So let's go with he's about 75% of the best we've seen him. Okay, cool.
With him and Kane firing in goals, I think that could help. And if they shore up that defense a little, get a new goalkeeper, that makes a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens during the summer. A lot can happen. We've seen crazy transfers happen. For me, it's more of the who would want to go there at this point. And if they can actually get some players that are of quality, then yeah, maybe. I still don't think Champions League, I don't think they're good enough to get there. When you got teams like Newcastle, Man United, Arsenal, City, Liverpool. I mean, that's 5 right there. You're barely going to get into the Europa League at that point. Aston Villa's better than they are. Brighton's better than they are. So now you're looking at Conference League football as like the best you can possibly do.
Well, I mean, you could say the same thing for the teams you just said. You can say the same thing for Man United. You can say the same thing for Arsenal. I mean, just because Arsenal had one good season, they could fall back down, man.
Yeah, it's possible. I don't personally see it happening, but
even Liverpool, did we expect Liverpool to finish in their position in 5th?
5th?
After challenging second for the title?
We'll get to them in a second.
But I mean, obviously there's a lot of good teams in the Premier League, but what I'm saying is Tottenham's goal, yes, is going to be fighting for Champions League.
Yeah. Their goal, yes. What I'm saying is, what should their expectations be?
Their expectations should be to get into Champions League if that's what they're fighting for.
Do you think they're one of the 4 best teams in the Premier League?
No, but should they?
What are your expectations for them?
What are my expectations? Yes. My expectations are completely different than what Tottenham's expectations should be.
What I'm asking is, what are your expectations for them next season? Because we know what theirs should be.
Oh yeah, theirs should be to finish Champions League. But I mean, again, they'll maybe Europa League.
Maybe finally get a trophy.
I'm thinking maybe that 6th or 7th position.
Yeah. I think that's probably.
That's where I think they'll finish. What I think their goal should be, is
better than 8th,
fighting for Champions League.
Yeah, I think they're going to need a rebuild. So I think anything better than 8th would be a success for next season. maybe play all your starters in the Carabao Cup and try to get a trophy.
There you go.
All right. So, speaking of teams that were disappointing and that should probably finish in a Champions League spot or close to it, Liverpool. All right. They finished fifth after what looked like they were not even going to make Europe for the longest time. Very, very disappointing season for them. So, what would we give them as a grade?
As a grade, maybe a D+.
Okay. I'll be honest with you. If we go with the first half of the season, I'm giving them an F. If we're going with the second half of the season, I'm probably going to give them a B+, because they somehow almost made it into the Champions League. I'm going to give them a C+, because that's the average between the two letters. But because they made it into the Europa League, that's the only reason I'm giving them a C+.
I'm giving
Otherwise,
them...
I'm with you. It's a D+.
Well, I'm giving them a D because it's passing. They made it into a European competition. Obviously, it's not the one they want to be in.
Yeah.
But the fall, man. The fall from last season to this season is why I had to grade them so bad.
But their form towards the end of last season, man, they were beating teams left and right.
Oh, they were. It seemed like it was that game against Arsenal, man. Everything turned around there for them.
Mm-hmm. Especially after being 2-0 down, too.
Got the Liverpool of old.
Yeah, it was the inevitable collapse of Arsenal, and then Liverpool's springboard for the rest of the season. So, as far as what they need, I mean, they need a bunch of midfielders. I would say probably a center back.
Maybe someone to kind of look at to eventually replace Van Dijk.
Yeah. And then a right back, because it's looking like more and more likely that Trent Alexander-Arnold will become a midfielder.
It does look like he will, doesn't it?
I mean, watching him for England the other day, man, is like, holy crap, where did you come from? He was pinging balls left and right. He looked fantastic in the midfield. So maybe that's like a new signing in midfield for them.
Kind of is, isn't it?
Right? Speaking of signings, probably the bargain of the summer, Alexis McAllister for 35 mil. What kind of highway robbery is that?
Apparently he had something in his contract that said he could leave for that.
That's nuts.
That's what I heard, yeah. Versus, for example, Moises Caicedo does not have that option in his contract.
No. But with that said, I'm surprised Liverpool were the only team going in for him if that was the case.
Honestly, same, yeah. Man United could have done well with the McAllister.
Tottenham, Chelsea,
Newcastle, yeah.
Even Arsenal. I mean, pretty much any team at the top of the table could have gone for him. Or what they think should be the top of the table. But okay, so great. I give that an A+ for a signing. So they get one of the most exciting midfielders in the Premier League. Boom, one midfielder down. Trent Alexander-Arnold moves up into midfield. You got two. That being said, they had Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain leave on a free. Naby Keita left to Borussia Mönchengladbach on a free. Artur Melo goes back to Juve, and James Milner went the other direction and signed for Brighton.
Is Artur Melo, could that be one of the worst signings?
I'm going to go with first for Juventus, one of the worst signings. And then, yes, for Liverpool as well, one of the worst.
I don't think I saw him play, if I'm being honest.
No, he played, I think, 2 games, if I'm correct, and was hurt the rest of the time.
Yeah, man, that was bad. Like, I remember thinking, I thought this was, former Barcelona player.
0 Premier League games. 0 last season.
Did he play in any cup games, or?
I mean, he played, I think, 2 games.
Wow.
And they're both cup games, so. And if I'm not mistaken, they were both as a sub. I don't think he started any games, but. Okay, so let's start from the back. If you're Liverpool and you need a center back, maybe to replace Van Dijk or to be his understudy, gives you a lot of options.
Yeah, they got some good players, man. I mean, center backs. You think of Joel Matip, Ibrahima Konate, Van Dijk, Joe Gomez.
I think Konate probably starts all next season.
Those
Gomez is falling off a little bit, too.
A little bit. But, I mean, those aren't terrible defenders.
Off a little bit. I mean, they're not.
I would say if you're going to buy a center back, you probably need to sell one of those guys.
Yeah, I would agree.
Either maybe a Matip or Gomez.
Okay. Well, they need a right back. So let's go with right backs. Or maybe a hybrid, someone who can play both.
Yeah, I know you had mentioned a player already, Jurian Timber.
Yeah.
Kind of fit that bill.
Yeah, he's on my list too.
Um, Denzel Dumfries from Inter
Yeah.
Milan could be
Yeah.
a good one. If they want to go a little bit cheaper, maybe Timothy Castagna or Ricardo Pereira from Leicester.
Ricardo Pereira would be like a like for like, just better defender than Trent Alexander-Arnold. So style of play, at least.
So that could be a good one. James Justin also,
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
but maybe a João Cancelo.
Maybe. What about a Jeremy Frimpong?
Yeah, he could be a fantastic.
Young, up and coming right back. Very good going forward. Also very good defensively. Fits the mold. So yeah, I mean, I would normally say go for a Kim Min Jae, but they haven't even been linked to him.
Now it looks like he's going to Bayern Munich.
Yeah, and then Benjamin Pavard would have been a great signing as well. He can play right back, center back, sometimes left back even. But it looks like he's going to PSG as well. So I guess Jurian Timber, Jeremy Frimpong, Ricardo Pereira, Timothy Castagna. Those are your options if you're Liverpool.
I'm sure there's more. I mean,
I'm sure.
Obviously, we don't scout some of these
Their
lower
scouting network
leagues
is
in
gigantic.
France or in Germany or
Oh yeah,
the Netherlands, but
I mean, those are 4 solid options. I'll be honest, especially going to Leicester and rating them. All right, center mid. Do they need one at this point? Do they get one more? I mean, they got an aging Fabinho. They got.
That's who I would probably try to replace as Fabinho.
Yeah, I mean, Harvey Elliott had a good season.
Curtis Jones, you think isn't terrible.
Jordan Henderson needs replacing. He is old. I mean, he's looking like he's going to be the next James Milner, where he's like a super sub.
That Beščić, they played quite a bit.
Yeah. And then we forget they still have Thiago as well.
Thiago, yeah.
Yeah. Who is also getting up there in age. But so, I mean, that's a solid midfield. You think Alexis McAllister and Trent Alexander-Arnold in that mix. Do they need a midfielder?
Probably need one more, yeah, because they lost quite a few. I mean, it doesn't look like they're going to give Fabio Carvalho a chance.
No. It looks like he's going out on loan, I think.
Probably good for him.
Yeah. So if you're Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp, who do you try to sign in your midfield? Do you go for someone younger or do you go for more of a seasoned veteran or somewhere in between?
So like I said, I was thinking maybe looking to replace maybe Fabinho with João Palhinha from Fulham.
Ooh.
I think that could
be
be
a bad choice, but also isn't he like 26, 27?
He's 27, so I mean, you'll get a good
up there. You get 3 or 4 years from him.
You'll get a good at least 4 years from him. If you want to go younger, maybe Romeo Lavia from Southampton.
And that's the guy I'm surprised more teams aren't linked to. I mean, he looks like a seasoned veteran for a terrible Southampton team, and he's only 19.
That's wild, yeah. Only 19. Yeah. So like I said, he could be one for the future. Obviously, you could go for a Moises Caicedo if you want to spend the money. I don't think they will.
No, they won't. And I mean, even 35 mil for Alexis McAllister was probably on the edge of what they're willing to spend.
Maybe then they probably won't go for Nicolo Barella because it's looking like he'll cost at least 50.
Yeah. And they won't go for Florian Wirtz because he's going to cost almost 100. So yeah, maybe João Palhinha is your best bet. You can probably get him for 20 or 30. I don't know how much Southampton want for Lavia, but that's also a great option. For me, I was thinking more of a Gabri Veiga. Okay. Also might be out of their price range, or a Martin Zubamendi. I mean, they both would be perfect fits for that Liverpool midfield.
They could be good, yeah. I think Gabri Veiga might be a little too attack-minded.
Yeah.
If you have McAllister and Trent. Or honestly, maybe you drop Cody Gakpo down into that midfield.
Could do that too. I mean, we've seen it a couple times last season.
Yep.
He did pretty well. Also, what formation is Liverpool going to play? Are they going to play the 4-3-3 that they've been playing, or are they going to move someone up into attacking mid and play with more 2 holding center mids? I
I
don't
think
know.
they'll play with 3 at the back, and
Wingbacks.
yeah, if that's a way. Because
Yeah.
I mean, Andy Robertson, man, if he's stuck as a 3 in defense while Trent wanders into midfield, I think you're losing a lot of his best abilities.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, I don't know. Do you play with wingbacks? Do you play with the back 4? The way Liverpool plays, I think wingbacks. You're probably right. Probably need another center back to help shore up the back 3 and play with Andy Robertson out as a wingback. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Let us know. As far as that goes, I think that's pretty much all they need, right? They don't need anything going
I
forward.
don't think they need anything going forward, man. With Mo Salah, Darwin Nunez, Diego Jota, Cody Gakpo, Luis
They're
Diaz.
loaded. They're loaded.
They're good up there.
Yeah. Okay, so their first 5 fixtures. They go to Chelsea, play Bournemouth at home, go to Newcastle, play Aston Villa at home, and then Wolves. I mean, that's a tough 5 games.
It is.
Start the season.
Honestly, I could see it going both ways.
Yeah, me too.
They could lose to Chelsea. They could lose to Newcastle. They could lose or draw to Villa.
They could also,
they could also beat all those teams.
It's just the going to Newcastle. I think that's probably the hardest of all those fixtures because Aston Villa at home is a different story than playing at Villa Park.
Who knows? Going to Stamford Bridge could be tough too.
It could be. Again, it's going to be, can Pochettino get them firing on all cylinders before the season starts? And I think it's going to take a little bit, but they'll definitely be better than they were last season. I'll tell you that. So I think the expectation for them should be maybe 12 points out of those.
Yeah, minimum.
And then, I mean, their expectation obviously is going to be challenging for the title next season. I mean, they got to be overwhelming favorites to win the Europa League.
Right.
So, European trophy and challenge for the title next season. I mean, honestly, that's what I expect from them.
I expect them to challenge for the Europa League. And then, fighting for that title.
Yeah, it's going to be a scrap. And if City get the signings they've been linked to, I think it's going to be a scrap for second. There's just, we'll get to them at another time, but it's just not fair unless, they get some of those charges, they get actually enforced on them. And who knows what's going to happen with that. But that's for another podcast. All right. So, with that, where do you guys think those 3 teams, Tottenham, Chelsea, and Liverpool, should finish next season? Should be their expectations? Who should they sign? Let us know. And your guess is as good as ours. What's going to happen? This transfer window has been nuts already, and it's only been a couple of weeks.
It has been nuts, man.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's get into the news.
News.
The big one. Greg Berhalter reappointed as U.S. men's national team coach.
I can't believe they signed
that
him,
coming?
man. No, I did not see that coming. That is wild.
It was like in a 3-day span. It was Patrick Vieira said he would love to coach U.S. men's national team. And then Marsh says he's not going to coach the U.S. men's national team, and they say he's out of the running. And then all of a sudden, Berhalter gets announced. What? I'm like, they found their coach. Awesome. Patrick Vieira, Thierry Henry. No, they went right back to where it started. So why? What's with all of the drama?
It's going to be awkward dressing room, isn't it?
Right? God, and Gio Reyna, like,
it's going to be weird.
If you're Greg Berhalter, do you just say, Gio, I'm sorry? And also your parents aren't allowed at any U.S. men's national team game? Like, what? That's going to be terrible.
Honestly, I just want a little bit more ambition from U.S. soccer.
Right? I mean, they said that, he's got the ambition, he's got the goals, he's that they're looking for,
He
but
had his
also
shot,
like,
man. We saw what happened. I'm ready
yeah,
for someone new.
exactly. And he signed a contract through the World Cup in 2026.
I don't think honestly, I don't think he'll last it. If they
I
have a
don't think
what's that
so
tournament
either.
coming up? Was it
They're in the Nations League right now, the
not
CONCACAF
that one, the
Nations
one
League, and they got the Gold Cup coming up.
maybe it's the Gold Cup if they do terribly in some of these
But
tournaments.
I don't know. I don't know.
They played
It
well against
baffles.
Mexico though the other night,
They
man.
did. Speaking of which, they beat Mexico 3-0. Both teams finishing with 9 men,
It was a
as you would
feisty
expect.
one.
As you would
It
expect
was
from a
wild.
U.S. Mexico game. Yeah, I mean both teams. U.S. has got a great up and coming roster. Mexico are essentially rebuilding because all of their stars are old.
They are rebuilding, man.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because I love that rivalry. It's probably one of the best in the world.
It's a feisty one, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Thoughts on the game? Florian Balogun making his debut for the U.S. men's national team.
Honestly, when I looked at that starting lineup, I was like, "Oh, damn! USA actually has a good team."
Right.
Balogun, Gio Reyna started. Christian Pulisic, McKinney, Musa.
Tyler Adams on the bench.
Yeah, Serginho Dest, Anthony Robinson, Matt Turner in goal.
Right. Man, they're looking good. The future is bright for the U.S. men's national team, but
Pulisic looked good, making Todd Bowley question if he should sell him or not.
Again, if you're not going to sell him, he has to start. That's it. It's either you start him and tell him you're going to start him if you're Pochettino, or you sell him. Like there's no in between. You probably still get 40 mil for him.
I think they could easily, yeah.
Okay. Other news. We already said N'Golo Kante signed for Al Ittihad, joining Karim Benzema. Napoli naming a new coach in Rudy Garcia.
We did a little thing on him earlier on maybe a coach to replace some of these
teams
that were looking to get relegated.
Yeah. A bit of a surprise for you?
Honestly, no. I think it's a good signing. Could do well.
I was expecting more of like Antonio Conte to get hired by them.
Conte might be a little too big name.
Either way, I agree. I think it's a
and
good
honestly,
signing.
The way Napoli played, do you think Antonio Conte's style
good point
would mesh there?
Good point. Apparently, Brendan Rodgers finalizing a sensational return to Celtic.
Could be good. As
what a move that would be.
Celtics manager just went to Tottenham.
Yeah, it would be a great homecoming for him. Bournemouth signed Justin Kluivert, Mayas Roma.
Apparently your dogs are happy about that one.
Yeah, apparently. Let's see here. Arsenal shoring up their young stars. William Saliba looking like he's signing a 4-year contract extension and will wear the number 2 shirt next season.
Good for them. They need him because we saw how poorly they played without him.
Oh, yeah. And especially with some of the teams that were linked to him, too. I mean, that's a huge boost for Arsenal.
Yes.
Especially previous seasons. They're selling all their best stars when they get down on their contracts, losing them for next to nothing. Shoring up their, next generation and their young stars. I mean, future is bright for Arsenal. It's exciting.
Yeah, Martinelli, Saka, Saliba all signing new contracts. So
yeah, looking like Odegaard's next. It would be very exciting. Okay. We already said it. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and Arsenal already all looking at Kai Havertz.
Would you take him at Arsenal?
Yeah, I would say yes, but it's which version of Kai Havertz are we going to get? Are we getting the Chelsea version or the Bayer Leverkusen version? If it's the Bayer Leverkusen version, I'm taking him all day. And I would say he's worth 70 mil. But if it's the Chelsea version, he's worth like 10. It's terrible.
So here's, I guess, my thoughts on that. Like I said, I wouldn't pay more than 50 mil for him. But I do think he offers Arsenal something different. Obviously it was depth that hurt them.
Yeah.
And he's different than Gabriel Jesus, different than Odegaard. So I think I would take him.
How do you think of the front 4 possibilities you would have if you got Kai Havertz as Arsenal? There's like 10, 11, 12 different front 4s you could have that all sound very dangerous.
So I think he would be a good option. And then for Real Madrid, I think Real Madrid are looking for an out-and-out striker. Obviously,
Yeah.
Kai Havertz isn't that. Bayern Munich, again, they need a striker.
Not another false nine, I guess.
Yeah, center forward, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah. If you're an Arsenal fan,
because he's not a winger, Kai Havertz. He doesn't do
no,
well out on the
he's
wing.
either an attacking mid or a false nine. Yeah. If you're an Arsenal fan, though, are you questioning why? If you're going for a Kai Havertz, why not go for a Serge Gnabry?
I think Serge Gnabry maybe plays more on the wing.
But he can also play up top.
He could. I think Kai Havertz is a different profile than what Arsenal already has. Like I would almost compare Serge Gnabry to Leandro Trossard.
Okay, that makes sense.
Versus Kai Havertz is different than both of those players.
Yeah, it's different than.
And he's different than Odegaard.
Emil Smith Rowe, a Fabio Vieira, a Martin Odegaard. Yeah, he's just different. Okay, it's a good point. Man United's opening bid of 40 mil was rejected by Chelsea for Mason Mount. They apparently want around 70 mil. Is he worth that?
He used to be.
Yeah.
I think Chelsea are pricing some of them. I think as we get closer here to the end of June, they might be reducing some of these prices on their players.
I think they'll probably meet at about 45, 50. And
I was thinking, 55, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Newcastle apparently in talks to sign Nicolo Barella and James Maddison, both for 50 mil.
Ooh.
If they sign both those players, are Newcastle like the third best team in all of England?
Man, that would be some midfield. Bruno Guimaraes, Nicolo Barella.
Holy cow.
James Maddison. Then you still got a Joe Willock, Joelinton in there.
Yeah.
That's a good midfield, man. That would be a good midfield.
That is scary.
If Newcastle can pull that off, man, who?
Even with one of them, that's scary. Especially, I would love to see Nicolo Barella in the Premier League.
I would too.
I want to see what he could do. I know you're a huge fan of him too, so get to see him every week.
I get to see him every week anyway. Watch Inter.
That's true. But every week in the Premier League.
Yes.
It's more attractive to me personally than watching the Serie A week in, week out. Because you never know what you're going to get.
You don't know with that Inter team especially.
Exactly. Manchester City, like we said, on the verge of signing Mateo Kovacic for 40 million. According to Fabrizio Romano. Chelsea and Liverpool are set
They're
to
also looking at Josko Gvardiol, Man City.
Yeah, about 100 mil bid.
Yep.
That's a scary proposition.
It is. Like, where would he play, man?
You put him next to Ruben Diaz, and then you have the best defense in the world.
With Akanji and Nathan Ake? I mean, Nathan Ake played fantastic.
You put four center backs, 3 center backs. You never know what Pep's going to do.
Kovacic, I think, would be a steal, too.
Maybe if he plays with 4 center backs and then everybody else is attackers. You're just like, hey, go crazy.
There you go.
Yeah. Chelsea and Liverpool set to ballot out for Gabri Viega. I think that's a fantastic signing for either one of those teams.
He's a great player.
Yeah. He'd be very exciting. Chelsea are also in talks to sign Nico Jackson for his release clause, but also they're trying to lower that, and I don't think Villarreal will accept anything less than his release clause. 35 million. That's a steal already. Why would you take less than that?
Alexis McAllister went for that.
Right? Holy crap. Bayern Munich apparently are going to sign Kim Min-jae, according to Fabrizio Romano. What a signing for them. Add some extra depth at center back.
Yeah, add depth, but I don't think they need a center back. Like I said, they need that striker.
Yeah. They're also in talks to sign Kyle Walker from Manchester City. How exciting would that be as a Bayern Munich fan to have the 2 fastest wingers in the world as your outside backs?
Yeah, I saw something recently, though, that Alphonso Davies doesn't want to play left back.
I know.
He wants to play in that right wing position.
I mean, shoot, train him as a striker. There you go.
He had a nice finish for Canada here.
First line of defense, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I think the player that doesn't get talked about enough is Jonathan David. I think he would be a fantastic signing for Bayern Munich.
He could be, yeah.
Two
Fellow Canadian.
2 Canadians on the German champions. Just saying.
How about all this Kylian Mbappe news, man?
It's driving me nuts.
So much.
Will he? Won't he? He says he wants to stay. PSG want to sell him. I apparently didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings by sending a letter. Of course, you're going to hurt their feelings. It's a letter. It's like sending an email saying, I want to leave.
But he said he doesn't. He didn't say he wants to leave. He said, I don't want to sign a new contract, but I'll play this year. I want to
be here past next summer. How about that? It's the same thing. I want to leave.
Can you imagine losing Messi and Mbappe in one transfer window?
And potentially Neymar, all three of them?
What do you do if you're PSG, man?
Unleash the purse strings?
Suck for a year?
Wages? You know how much in wages that you would save?
Yeah, a lot.
That's like most teams' whole transfer budget you just saved in wages.
Do you think Mbappe goes anywhere?
I think so. If you're PSG, you do not want to lose him for free. You do not. So,
do you think Real Madrid pays 150 million for him though?
No, I think if they really want to get rid of him, it'll cost close to 100 mil. And I think pretty much any team that can afford that would pay it.
So if you're Arsenal, why are you spending 100 mil on Declan Rice when you can get Kylian Mbappe?
If I'm Arsenal and Mikel Arteta and Edu, I sign Declan Rice and then walk up to Stan Kroenke and go, hey, all your other teams have won a title in the last 2 years. If you want to win a title, I don't care how much money it takes. Walk up to Kylian Mbappe, pay him whatever he wants, and get him.
Honestly, every team should be doing that. Propose it. Might as well. If you're Newcastle, here you go. If you're Chelsea, United, everyone, just go propose.
I think Newcastle might be a dark horse in that race. They
have the money. I was thinking that the other day, yeah.
They have the money to sign up
Champions League. It would be a bold kind of statement.
Yeah. It would be like Manchester City signing Robinho in his prime.
Yep, I do remember that Robinho.
Yeah, game changer.
Or almost like when PSG got Neymar.
Yep. Same thing. It's springboard to much better things.
But man, I will say Karim Benzema leaving for Saudi Arabia, what a domino effect that's had.
Oh god, there's so many.
With all this now Mbappe, Harry Kane.
It gives me a headache. It's like, okay, what are teams that need players going to do? They're all going for money. It's like the whole China league again.
Yeah. But man, what a transfer for Real Madrid if they could. It's looking like he will go to Madrid at some point.
I want to see Kylian Mbappe and Erling Haaland with.
I do too. I almost hope Mbappe goes to Man United, if I'm being honest.
I don't.
Just so that rivalry of Man City, Man United, Haaland against Mbappe.
I want an Arsenal Man City rivalry. I want it. Let's do it. Because Arsenal are obviously not there yet. But the potential is much better than all the other teams in the Premier League. So, what do you guys think? Let us know.
Yeah, where should Mbappe go? Let us know on our Facebook group or Instagram.
We'll go real life and fantasy land.
Yeah, real life and fantasy land.
Because Arsenal's
He's going to Luton.
I mean, if you're Luton, why not? Worst he can say is no.
Right? But don't forget to check out our TikTok, Redbubble. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for listening. As always, cheers.